Thank you, Karthik. This session is quite interesting in more senses than one, because this is the most difficult area which Indian healthcare sector is facing at the moment. Partnerships in general are difficult to nurture and prosper in Indian scenarios. In addition, in the health sector, it's all the more difficult since the scenario on the ground is so disproportionate to not result in effective, sustainable partnerships. First of all, I would like to tell that the rules of the session. We have 65 minutes at our disposal, and we have very enlightened panelists who will deliberate on the complex matter. But essence of life is brevity. So I would request all my panelists to be brief and to the point to actually enable us to interact amongst ourselves and also ensure that we are able to interact with the people in the hall. So for achieving this goal, I hope each one of us in the beginning takes 5 minutes each, if that is okay. 5 minutes each for each panelist, and then we deliberate on the issues of how to build the Triple P model for the Indian healthcare sector. If we have to start a debate and discuss the issue of how to develop an effective model, we need to be aware as to what is the scenario on the ground. If we see 11th five-year plan, what was the goal? The goal was lowering maternal and infant mortality, malnutrition among children, anemia among women and girls, and fertility. Have it been met? None of the goals have been met, which means that our aspirations and our methodologies are not working. Can you believe we have 56% among married women aged 15 to 45 years who are anemic after 60 years of independence? Can you believe that 23% of women and children are malnourished? Can we still believe that 47 is the high infant mortality rate and maternal mortality is again 2120 per million births? Can we still believe that we still spend just 1% of our GDP on healthcare against 14% in US? Can we still believe that we have 71% out-of-pocket expenditure? All of us know that 71% means this money goes into non-productive, low-quality healthcare. If these are the realities, is it not imperative that we need to revisit our health model? And the investment that are being made in our healthcare sector need to be redirected to more productive channels. One of the most important health reforms which have been observed in the last 10 years globally and especially in developing countries is increase in the public spending. Second is the devolution of management. That is increased autonomy to the state and local government bodies in managing the health programs. Disease incidence profiles have changed over the last 10-15 years. We have increase in non-communicable diseases and lifestyle diseases like heart disease, diabetes and cancer. We have increasing publicly sponsored health coverage like Rajiv Gandhi Swasthya Bima Yojana. Innovations are the core driver of growth in the health sector in India today. which require a lot of investment. Like mHealth, we had discussed in this very conference, telemedicine, use of Ayush, that is Ayurvedic, Yoga, Siddha and homeopathy. Micro-insurance and medical tourism are also increasing. Then in the last session itself, we had the increasing use of IT for enhancing the efficiency and transparency in the health sector. Now, if this is the imperative and this is the reality, we face another reality of great proportion of disproportionate supply and infrastructure in terms of doctors, nurses and beds. Can we believe that India still has 13 nurses for every 10,000 persons against a global average of 28? We have 6 doctors against a global average of 12 per 10,000 persons. We have 9 beds against 24 beds per 10,000 persons in the world. And this, when I say global average, it means disproportionate high ratio in developed countries. You'll be surprised to know that Russia has one of the highest proportion of beds per 10,000 population. Russia also has one of the best ratio of doctors to 10,000 population. It's not US, surprisingly. Germany seems to be having the highest ratio of nurses per 10,000 population. These are surprising statistics which are facing us. And over that, if you realize the hugely short infrastructure, deficient infrastructure, if the government of India today plans to change the health scenario in terms of increased beds, increased number of doctors and nurses, can it do so in the next 10 years? It cannot. Because to create a medical college, to create a nursing college, to create a bed requires money and infrastructure, which is not available with us. Even if government of India or a private investor today would have the money, he will not be able to transfer into reality this dream of having the doctors, nurses and the beds by sheer lack of supply chain. So, which means increasing competition amongst the available beds, nurses and doctors and other infrastructure. Now, what is the solution? If this is the reality, the only possibility is to build more efficient systems in the available infrastructure that we have. All of us know 80% of doctors are in the private sector. Most of the nurses are in the private sector. Most of the beds are in the private sector. Yet the flow patient is more on the public sector infrastructure because of sheer lack of resources of transferring that money from private sector to the public sector facilities. Now, if we have to bridge this gap of fully public and fully private, we need to know what are the models available today. One could have a lot of advantages and disadvantages. One of the commonest model for the persons working in the public sector is management contract. Second model in the private sector is to give a concession agreement, to have a concession agreement. Between these two, we have leasing, joint ventures, and build, operate, transfer, or build, operate, and operate. Now, these models have their own advantages and disadvantages, yet each has its practicality on the ground. But before we move forward, we need to just examine what are the first steps to have a public-private partnership. These few steps are essential before we discuss the subject to be able to arrive at a tangible solution at the end of 1 hour of our discussion, because this will lead to clarity in our thought and discussion. First is to conduct a detailed investigation on what the public really needs. Do we have this definition? Do we have this data? Do we have this information? We need to define that. And if we do not have, then why want to progress towards PPP model? So we really need to know what are the needs of the public. To run a PPP project, a balance must be struck between gain and loss by determining the value of efforts. Now, what are those value of efforts? It's not only money, it's also the opportunity cost, it's also the value created as a result of the partnership. Third step is to gain the public's trust and support, which is not easy. This step requires huge commitment from the people who are holding public offices, and also people who are holding offices in the organized private sector lobbying bodies, FICCI, SOCHM, CII. Next step that would be required are the behavioral changes amongst users, which will influence the ultimate success of the PPP projects. If these prerequisites are met, then we need to establish a comprehensive set of legal frameworks which governs the running of the PPP project. Huge role by the Ministry of Finance in the center and the offices of chief ministers in the state governments. Huge role. Because you create legal frameworks to actually set the ball rolling. You create legal frameworks to see that the projects are successful. Because one success leads to another, and that leads to sustainability of the projects in the PPP framework. And one setback will lead to 10 other setbacks in other concurrently running projects in other areas in India. That's the entire impact of the national scenario on the state where the PPP projects are running, because health being a state subject, it will work at the state level, but the overall environment is the national environment or the global environment. Last but not the least is the examination of the operational risks, which needs to be minimized as far as possible. They are major operational risks. These risks have to be identified, addressed and resolved. You have to build infrastructure where the risks are covered comprehensively, sufficiently and effectively. Not in the beginning, but all through the life cycle of the PPP projects.